Hi everyone, this is Usha Pandit, your Mind Springs English teacher. For several weeks, people have been asking me about will and shall. Now, someone like me who has picked up English, which means I don't think when I speak, it comes naturally to me. For people like me, we haven't even thought about it because you just speak it. If it's wrong, you know it's wrong or you know it's right. So it's as simple as that. This is true for all native and near native speakers like me. Okay. But for people who are not yet fluent or not yet there, they will be confused and they'll wonder whether will and shall are interchangeable. So we're going to look at that today. Okay. So remember, you will not be able to learn this through grammar on this board. You will be able to understand it. You will be able to understand what I am saying. You will be able to see that yes, it's true that certain things don't go together, but you will have to practice. You should never try to pick these up through rules, because when you are speaking to somebody, you cannot think of a rule. It is impossible. You don't have the time to even a second to think about what is the rule to apply. So you can't do that. And if you are learning it through Hindi, if somebody is translating all this into Hindi and telling you, maybe you feel comfortable listening to them and you think, I've understood, but that's not the way to learn English. It will just make it worse for you. It will take longer to learn. So try to hear as much of English as possible. One of the best ways to pick up language is to listen. So watch a lot of movies, watch a lot of shows, hear a lot of songs, listen to the news. You should do a lot of listening. Trust me, it's a pattern language and it will imprint in your mind and you will just know certain things are wrong. But it's not going to be easy. Let me not tell you that, oh, it's so easy, just do this and you will get there. Those people are fooling you. So do not listen to that. Language takes time, but you should go in the right direction. If you go in the wrong direction, you will never learn it, or it will be, I don't know, maybe several decades before you learn it. Okay, enough talk. Let's get to will and shall. So will and shall seem to be like brothers. So if I say I will come, I shall come, both sound good. I mean, both sound okay. Okay, I shall come tomorrow, I'll come tomorrow. I can say this and they are both right. Okay. Now there are some people who will tell you the rule like I and we go with will and then shall goes with the others. You do all this, you will get confused because you cannot work out whether you are saying I and now what should I do? Should I say will or shall? You don't have time for that. So let's just go through it, go through this video several times. Listen to a lot of people using will and shall, because will and shall is very common. Everyone uses it all the time. And look at it when you're reading, check out will and shall. This is the way to go. Okay. So alright, the first thing I'm going to do is the forms. I'm going to show you the conjugation. So if you take will and shall that I put there, so I put all your pronouns here, right? You can also have a noun, by the way. I can say Rajesh will do something. You can do that. It's not like you can't put names there, or the men will, you can do that. So, but I've just put pronouns because normally when you speak, pronouns are what you use the most, okay, with will and shall. So I can say I will, you will, he will, she will, it will, we will, you will, they will. Will seems to fit everything and I can make sentences. I will go to school, you will go to school, he will go to school, she will go to school, we will go to school, you will go to school, they will go to school. All good. So I can, with all my pronouns, I can use will. Can I use shall? I shall go to school, you shall go to school, we shall go to school, he shall go to school, it shall go to school, puppy school. You shall go to school, they shall go to school. That also sounds okay, but it sounds a bit pompous, doesn't it? they shall go to school. See, I have actually put that somewhere, I have written telling you that it is pompous here, pompous. When you say shall, I shall, it sounds like the royal we, like the queen and the king and all when they talk. They don't say I. So the queen won't say I'll have tea or I want to have tea. She'll say we shall have tea. That's how she'll speak in the plural. So somehow shall gives you that feeling. It sounds a little pompous and people will be a little like shall in some cases, but you can get away with it. Ideally try to use will because that goes very comfortably with everything. However, they are not interchangeable and we will see that they appear to be twins but they are not. The second form is, it can be a main verb. I will, I shall. You can just say that and leave it. I will. Will you come with me tomorrow to the party? I will. Small sentence, subject verb, I will, and that's fine. Or I shall. Oh, I certainly shall. I definitely shall go. I can do this also. I definitely shall. Normally you don't put an adverb, you just say I shall. Oh, I shall. So it's okay. It's none, I will is better, but shall is fine. There's no problem there. So they can be main verbs or they can be auxiliary and main verb. Now this is your auxiliary. For will go, will is the auxiliary and go is your main verb. So I will go. Future tense, I will go. I shall go. Oh, I shall definitely go. I shall go. Both are okay. So they can be main verbs and they can be auxiliary verbs, will and shall. The third form is they can be contracted. So they don't always come in full form. You don't say I will all the time. When you speak especially, don't do it when you write. But when you speak, unless of course you are writing dialogue and the character is actually speaking in direct speech, then you will probably use a contraction. But otherwise in formal written language, do not use contractions. So I'll, he'll, they'll, you'll, this is fine, we'll. Ideally this will, you'll and all that, I normally tell people don't use it if you can. But it's not wrong. They are all contractions and in some places they are perfect. So no issues. Right? So this will, WI has been cut and the LL has been kept. What is that comma? That comma stands for this WI that we have cut off. That's why we call it a contraction. Won't, the negative of that will be won't. What have we cut out? Will not. So I have cut out the ILL completely. I have kept the W and then I have added an O, extra O, and then cut off the not and made it nt. So that comma stands for this O and the W, after the W, ILL has been cut off and O has been added. Now why is it like this? Nobody knows. It must have been some old English form that has come down to us. So won't is the negative form. Similarly, shall will become shan't. Now here you can't say shall, I shall and all that you can't do. Shall doesn't contract in the positive. Shall contracts in the negative to shall not, shan't. So what do we cut off? LL is cut off and O is cut off and it becomes shan't. SHAN apostrophe T. The apostrophe stands for O of not. So this is your contractions. Inverted in a question. All question forms are inverted in English, isn't it? You will becomes will you. So therefore you get shall we, will you. You ask these questions like that. You'll come tomorrow, won't you? I can do the negative also. So tag questions are another one. Let me put that, tag questions. You can use tag questions. You'll come tomorrow, won't you? Or you won't come tomorrow, will you? It's the opposite for tag questions. But you can use them you invert them in the questioning process. You use it in indirect backshift. When you change from direct to indirect, you do what is called a backshift. So if you say, he said I will come, then the indirect becomes he told her that he would go. So will has become would. But will and would and should are not the past tenses of will and would. Please don't make that mistake, because they are modals, and modals don't have tenses. We do this back shift to give a sense of time, but they are not strictly past tenses, because if you say they are past tenses, I will ask you where's the future. So you won't be able to tell me. Where's the present continuous? You won't be able to tell me. If you haven't seen my video on verbs go job hunting, go and take a look. It's a very funny video and it's all about verbs. So these are your 5 ways in which you can do your will and should. So you'll ask me, where is the complication? I'll say, well, these are just the forms. Let's come to the uses, because the use is where the problems come in any language, and especially so in English with English grammar. So the uses is one is to express the simple future tense. Suppose I say I'll go tomorrow or I shall go tomorrow. Some people tell you don't use will, use shall for this future that is predicted and things like that. Don't listen to all this, because you will go mad. If you start, finely splitting hair on grammar, it will drive you crazy. You stick to the basics. It should sound correct, and it should not be a terrible mistake that you should not make. So to me, I will go, you will go, he will go, she will go, or I shall go, you shall go. Now see, here is where that shall becomes pompous. You shall go. Strictly speaking, it's grammatically correct, but if you say you shall go, he shall go, it's pompous. It's like the royal we. We don't use it. So therefore, again as I said, will is safe. Okay. Let's go to modals. Both of these are modals. You know what modals are? Modal verbs show intentions, and they show many intentions. One of the complications of English is this modal verb. The same word will show you various intentions depending upon how you structure it. So you have to be very careful, and you have to do a lot of practice, and you have to listen to a lot of English. That's the only way, guys. So you have multiple uses of will. So if I say, will you please? If I do this, I am making a request. Take this glass of water to her, will you? Then I am asking you to do something for me, request. Suppose I say, I will. Are you planning to take that from the library without telling them? And you say, I will. Or you say, will you, if I ask you, will you go without asking dad, and you say, I will, then you are being defiant, aren't you? And what's happening there? It shows determination, it also shows defiance, depending upon who you are talking about. I will is good if you are a soldier saying, I will protect my country, and if you are planning to disobey your father, then it's defiance. So these small little nuances of language is where you read who is talking to whom, what is the intention, what's the relationship, etc. If I say will do, make sure you post that letter, will do. If I say this, what does it mean? Agreement, yes, I will do it. That's what you mean, but you've just said will do. I won't have it. Suppose dad puts his foot down and says, you're not going, I won't have it. He's angry and he is denying you permission. I won't have it in my house. If he says that, it means he is denying you permission to go. You will go is an order. You will go, whether you like it or not, you will go. It's an order, maybe from mom saying that you have to go and visit Aunt Jaya, even if you don't like her very much, you will go. Order. It will rain. It will rain is, I think, not a possibility, right? It might rain would be a possibility. It will rain is a prediction. See, you are predicting it will rain. You are looking at the sky, the clouds are grey. it will rain. That's what you mean. Let's look at shall, some of the modal uses of shall. I am just showing you how various intentions are displayed in these will and shall words. Shall I cook? Shall I cook? If somebody asks you, shall I cook? What are they saying? They are asking for permission. Maybe it's not their house and they are being polite and they are saying, shall I cook? You rest, shall I cook? You will notice that you cannot interchange these things. If I say, shall I cook? In somebody's house, I can say, shall I cook? I am being polite and very sweet and lovely and kind. Shall I cook? Asking for permission. But if I say, will I cook? Can I ask? I cannot ask. So, if you will find that in certain places you cannot change it, these modal thingies cannot be changed into shall. For example, will you is a request. Please take this water to her. Will you is a request. Can I say please take this water to her? Shall you? Can I do that? No, it sounds ridiculous. Shall you? Wrong English, completely wrong. I will, I shall. Both are okay. Okay. Determination wala is kind of okay. I will is more strong and I shall is also strong but not as strong as will. Will do, shall do. People say shall do also. Okay. So that's fine. I won't have it. Can dad say I shan't have it? He can, but it's not the same thing. It's got slight meaning difference. I won't have it is showing absolutely no. I shan't have it is also absolutely no, but it's somehow a little lesser than won't. You will go is an order. You will go, but I can't say you shall go. It's got a little bit of it's odd to say it. It will rain. I can say it will rain, but I can't say it shall rain. You are not predicting. When you predict, you can't say it shall rain. So you've got issues there. You can't change all of them to will and shall. Let's come back to shall. Shall we? Let's go. Shall we? Can I say let's go? Will we? Cannot. Simply cannot say will we. It would be wrong English. Thou shalt not. Thou shalt not take the Lord's name in vain. All those commandments of that Moses got is all shall not. Thou shalt not do this. Thou shalt not do that. It's there in all religious texts. But if I say thou will not, doesn't sound good. So it doesn't fit at all. Will cannot fit there. He shall be hanged is a judgment. So the judge slams the gavel on the table and says he shall be hanged unto death, right, and breaks the pen. Drama, he shall be hanged. He will be hanged doesn't sound the same. He will be hanged is not a judgment. He will be hanged is a certainty, where you are looking at the criminal and saying he will be hanged. He is going to be, he will be hanged. That's what you are saying. So there is a difference between the judgment and the certainty that you are saying, or the future, he will be hanged tomorrow. Something like that will show simple future. That is where you use will, you cannot use shall. I should go to see her is an obligation. I should go to see her. After all, she has done so much for me. I should is an obligation. You can definitely not use I would go to see her. You cannot. I would go to see her means I might go. I would go means there is a sort of an in the future. I would is bad. Don't use it at all. I think it's wrong English. I would go to see. Many people say this. You would learn. Come to the workshop. You would learn. What do you mean by you would learn? You will learn. You would learn means? No, God knows. Maybe you might, maybe you won't. That is what it means. So, would is very dangerous. Be very careful with would. So, therefore, you see you cannot change everything. Legal documents, you will have the shall. Shall is a very big one in legal documents, where if you look at any legal document, you will find the shall. You will also find it in formal notices. So, if you do not comply with the clauses in this document, we shall take action against you. If you do not pay us on time, we shall take legal action. We shall. They don't say we will take legal action. They can say it, but they won't. So, legal documents do not use will, they use shall, because it is highly formal, highly academic, highly, a language that has got certain dignity and gravity. So, they use shall. Similarly, in a notice you will say you shall not do this, you shall not do that, you shall not walk on the grass, you shall not spit on the walls. You will always find the shall used in notices, not you will. You will not fit. What do you mean by you will not spit on the walls? It's not a notice. You will not spit means what? You will not spit means something like predicting in the future. I know you will not spit. It's like that. But you shall not is an order, is a command. So, therefore, formal notices. Now, let us look at these two sentences. He shall be king. He shall be king is like an announcement where the religious head comes and says he shall be king. So, that is an announcement. But if you say he will be king, it is not an announcement. It is a prediction or it is a certainty. We are sure he will definitely be the king. That is what you mean by will be. So, this will and shall, guys, if you change it, be very careful about the modal intention of the word. Let us quickly look at the questions. Now, in the questions, see I have marked crosses where I am saying you cannot use the other word, right. So, as I said, will it rain? I can't say shall it rain. How can you say shall it rain? What are you, a rain god? You can't say shall it rain. No way. What will you do? Suppose I say, oh my God, you've lost your passport, what will you do? Suppose I am asking this. I can't say, what shall you do? You've lost your passport, what shall you do? It's completely wrong. What will you do is the right way. So, with what, you will find that you can't use shall. What shall is normally not used. Let us look at the other WH words. But before that, let us look at shall, starting with shall. So, will it rain and shall I go are both the beginnings, where you use will and shall at the beginning of the sentence. So, shall I go is the beginning of the sentence. Can I say will I go? You will say go if you want to. I can ask you permission, say shall I go? I can't ask you will I go. That is completely wrong. So, you see at the beginning, when you get these words at the beginning, you have to be a little careful, you can't interchange them. Now, let us look at the WH, when, where, who. When will I, well, when will you go, where will you go, who will you go with, etc. Normally you cannot ask when shall you go, where shall you go, who shall you go with, wrong. So, when, where, how is always will, okay. How shall we go? We can, with how I can ask how shall we go, but I can't say how will we go. How shall we go? How will we go? I know we use this. We often ask our friends, how will we go? And then they will tell you, oh, we can go by train, isn't it? But how will we go is strictly speaking incorrect. How shall we go is the better way to say it. Why will I cry? Why will I cry? You ask people, why will I cry? Am I crazy? Why will I cry? But you never say, why shall I cry? You cannot ask. Completely wrong. Similarly, will you be upset? I can't say, shall you be upset? Completely wrong. Will she pass? Will she pass the exam? Will she pass? Can I say, shall she pass? No, I cannot say, shall she pass. He said he will sign the document. He said he will sign the will. I can't say he said he shall sign the document. Pompous. Sometimes they are not wrong, they are just pompous. And you can get away with pomposity, but in some cases they are completely wrong and you cannot use them. So, go through this carefully and decide which are the places where you cannot use shall. and where you cannot use will, because that you should practice a lot. Don't try to understand it and think that you will remember it, because I am telling you, you will not. The only way to do it is to ask these questions of your friends. Constantly ask these questions and they will become yours. Will you close the door? I can't say shall you close the door. Wrong. Completely wrong. Shall I close the door? Now I can say shall I close the door. I cannot say will I close the door. Completely wrong. How can I say will I close the door? I'll say I don't know. What do you mean by will you? Okay, yeah, if you want to close, it will go like this, the conversation. So, will you close the door is completely wrong. Shall I close the door is the correct way, but will you close the door? So, see, the same sentence when you change the pronouns, but you cannot use this as a rule, because you will find exceptions here and there that will floor you completely. So, practice these guys. My book is Language with Ease. It has one sentence a day that you practice, and that will keep you in touch with English. It's also got pair work where you have to say these sentences, and that's very important, because if your tongue has no practice in speaking, any amount of rules that I give you, any amount of understanding that you have will be wasted. So until we meet again, keep smiling.